Hey guys, so I'm sure you all have heard of this artist, Anima, who does a lot of like demonic shows. He's an EDM artist, very dark, disgusting, just visuals that are not of God. I wanted to go over his most recent show he did at the Pyramids of Giza. Obviously, tons of symbolism, super demonic. But I actually want to focus on pretty much all the visuals are just obviously in your face, humans merging with fallen angels. But there's this one in particular, and there's something that was said that I want to dive into. So let's watch this clip first. If you're spiritually sensitive, maybe turn your volume down because I can't even listen to the way this music sounds anymore, which is crazy because I used to DJ his music. Like, I used to openly, excitingly DJ his music. I loved how dark and grimy it was. Now I can't even listen to it. It honestly makes me sick to my stomach. So, it's a short clip, but yeah, let's look at it real quick. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry to subject you to that, but let's dive into the significance because I'm not making this video for people who are already in Christ. I'm making this video, or even if you are and you still think that this type of music is okay, mind you, I still DJ on this side, but I only DJ like soft disco, house music, very cute, uplifting. These tones that are used, especially when there is a buildup. So, all right, let me break this down. Let me kind of give you an idea of why music makes you feel a certain way, and just kind of like the overall gist of it. When there's a buildup to a song, which, mind you, kind of like the music that I play here and there, doesn't even really have buildups. It's more like elevator music. But when there's a strong buildup to a song, it's triggering your fight or flight. And so you're thrown into a chaotic mode internally. And depending on what that drop sounds like, what that drop is, and I'm not trying to get into like new agey stuff, but frequencies are very real. The Satanic Temple has already talked about this. I'm sure you guys have seen all the videos of it. How frequencies truly do alter and control your mind, your emotions, all that stuff. But when there's a buildup, it's almost preconditioning you for something. So essentially like a trauma bond. So you know how a trauma bond, if God forbid, if any of you guys have ever been in one, you know what it feels like. It feels like you are trying to catch your breath, but you can't until that person gives you validation. And then you can finally breathe again. And then the abuse comes again and you feel like you can't breathe again. And then they give you, something and then you can breathe again. So that's kind of exactly like what it is with music. You can be trauma bonded through music and not even realize it. And a trauma bond essentially at the core is a bond that's created with a demon. Because as we know, a healthy bond would be a bond created through God, a godly bond. So essentially what's happening is these buildups to a song that you're like getting ready for, and then once it drops, and if that drop is super satanic and demonic in tone, in frequency, and all of that stuff, you are like completely opening yourself up to that demon to be possessed. And I'm telling you, I remember this feeling very well, and I remember the first time. I have an old video on it. You guys probably already saw it. If not, it's somewhere down on my thing. But the first time the Lord ever took away the veil and I finally saw the demonicness behind what was happening, And I had the biggest panic attack, freak out I ever had in my life at one of these shows, not his show, but EDC in Orlando. Which, you know what? I'm going to post a picture up here because I have old videos and stuff of that. But yeah, just, you'll see. There was a literal owl whose pupils were dilating. That was the stage as a whole. So, yeah. Anyway, but I'll post that at some point. And so within this, obviously we can see this is 100% fallen angel merging with human, except 2.0. So that's why we see this human being who honestly looks like they're just being, for lack of a better word, graped, like tormented. Just all these like things in them, cords, all this stuff. The human looks dead, truly, and is almost being like revived again, but in a demonic way. And so it's like the demons being pumped inside of them. And then all of a sudden, wings pop up, fiery wings. You can't get any more obvious than that. Fiery wings, and you have a new hybrid, a human-machine hybrid. So, what he said in one of the other like interludes to his songs or something, it said, sorry, I had to look it up on my computer because I forgot. But okay, this is the quote that one of his transitions was saying as they were like setting up the stage for yet another human hybrid to take form. It says, perception fractures, the real blurs with the unreal, and a transformative universe begins to take shape. Okay, so let's break that down. Let's just break down the first part. So perception fractures. Now, I've talked about this in other videos before, and this is exactly why I preach heavily on psychology. So if we know if our perception is fractured, then that means that we don't have a grounded basis in reality. And if we don't have a grounded basis in reality, then what is that? We are then in a state of psychosis. So a state of psychosis is essentially where, and I've gone over this in other videos as well, is where a child is from the age of birth up until I believe the age of 7, essentially where their identity is still being formed. They're still in this weird in-between where they don't know who they are compared to the world. They are in an in-between. So psychosis ultimately is where you are in this in-between. You don't know. You've basically gone insane. You don't know what's real and what's not real. And if you don't know what's real and what's not real, then you are very, very easily deceived. And things can be implanted into you very easily. So this is exactly what they did with MK Ultra victims too. They broke their mind to the point where they did not know the difference between reality and not reality anymore. So they could then form new neural pathways in their brains to convince them of things because they did not have a basis. They did not have anything they were tethered onto anymore. They weren't tethered to any truth, if that makes sense. So if they're not tethered to any truth, if anything is subjective now and the lines are blurred and you don't even know what's what, then yeah, anything can be fed to you and you'll believe it. So they want us in that state, which we rebuke that in Jesus' mighty name. And then, yeah, exactly. The real blurs with the unreal. So also what can that mean? The real humans, the real blurs with the unreal. AI. AI is not real. AI does not have a soul. It's real in a way, but it's not real. So the real blurs with the unreal. Again, Nephilim 2.0. In this end time, that is exactly what Nephilim 2.0 are going to be. Humans merged with machines. And then a transformative universe begins to take shape, yada, yada. The beast system, essentially. So it's just crazy. Like, it's right in front of our faces. And I know that we know this, but it just blows my mind because I'm like, people can be at these concerts and just see these images. You know, even if I wasn't a Christian, so I never saw any of his concerts, like, or anything like that before I was in Christ. So like 4 years ago, he was kind of still like, I don't know if he was coming up or if he was still just kind of like not doing shows like that yet, because I never saw any, of those like visuals or anything until like maybe right before I came to Christ. But I remember when I first saw like a short of one of his visuals, I was feeling super disturbed by it. And again, I wasn't even in Christ. So I could only imagine if I saw that at a show and I wasn't in Christ, I still would have immediately been like, this makes me feel sick. Like, and I don't know why. I was able to play his music, but if I had been in a situation where I saw that along with the music, that would have broke it for me. I would have been like, nah, like, this is very wrong. Something about this is very disturbing. Obviously now we know what it is. I know what it is now, but like, yeah, I don't know. The sad thing is it's just like, people want to deny all these things, but all you have to do is just search. Speaking of searching, I was curious to know, because whenever I come across, you know, people who seem to kind of blow up quickly and are very demonic in nature. Also, mind you, a lot of these like men that are in his shows that, you know, have the cords and stuff, they look like him. So I don't know if this is some sick, twisted, like, fantasy of his, to be a superhuman hybrid. I'm sure it probably is. I'm sure it probably is for a lot of people, sadly. But anyway, I always wonder who their parents are. So I actually looked up to see, like, who's this dude's parents? Because there's no way, when I tell you millions of people are going to his shows, like, you can't just get a show at the Sphere in Las Vegas without being huge. Not to mention that, but playing at the pyramids in Egypt. And it was like a private-ish event where I think it was like 100,000 exclusive people were invited. And I saw a lot of the videos posted. Just a ton of female influencers practically naked wearing belly dancer outfits. Yeah. It's a lot, y'all. But I looked it up and his father, surprise, surprise, I am going to butcher his name and I'm so sorry. I don't speak Italian, but his name is, or his father, where'd it go? Is the CEO of something called Essilor Luxottica. Basically, he's a billionaire. So, yeah, his father is a billionaire. And, Francesco Milleri. Yeah, but his father's a billionaire, so one can only imagine what goes on behind closed doors, what they know. It's pretty obvious. But yeah, it's all connected. It's all connected because I'm sure this dude, being the billionaire that he is connected with all the others. And we all know that stems back to the beginning. But yeah, stay vigilant, y'all. Something seems off, something feels off in your spirit, check it. Just know it probably is. Stay strong with the Lord, y'all. We win in the end.